Let's just keep it going. Let's just do the clap one more time. 3, 2, 1.
Wait. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Hello and welcome to Pop Culture Party People, the only pop culture podcast on the internet. Shocking how that happened. Hi, my name is Dillon, and I am the humble host here at Pop Culture Party People, and we're going to have a slight change. If you've been listening to the podcast in the past, Warren, my amazing co-host, isn't going to be on for the next couple episodes because he's just working on some other stuff outside of the podcast, and he's not going to be able to really get in and record. Luckily, I have some amazing friends who wanted to sit in and co-host with me, and we have the very great pleasure of having one of my closest and greatest friends on the podcast today. You met him back in episode 8. His name is Dale Zarb. Hello, Dale.
Hello, everybody, and Dillon. Hey,
How's
everyone.
it going, man? How's it been since the last time we talked?
It's going well. COVID is still around for those that have literally been living under a rock since, I guess, episode 8, where they heard my pipes.
Your dulcet tones on episode 8.
I don't know about that, but yeah. So things are well with me and my immediate household, I guess. It has expanded a bit, but I'm going to say no more since you'll understand what that means. People out there with mailboxes that I'd like enough to send mail to, assuming you're listening to this, which you better be. But things are good. No complaints. A lot has happened since I was on the last one. Been following the what do you guys call it? Like the cast? Like, what do the kids say?
We just call it the podcast. Like when me and Warren are talking amongst each other, it's usually just the podcast.
The podcast. Like there's no other podcast. It's
right. We've decided that this one is the only one and should be considered that way for the rest of time.
Oh, okay. Like a lot of things that you feel strongly about. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
Like there's the fighting game, and then there's other non-Dragon Ball Z fighters.
I don't know, honestly, dude. After we played Blaze Blue, also get ready, strap in, folks. We're about to talk about video games for an extended period of time.
Also recurring theme when I'm on. So
yeah,
that's right.
So I guess I should say first and foremost, since the last time you were on, which is around Halloween. We talked about candy, talked about all that good stuff. And now it's getting closer to Christmas, and we're trying to kind of tailor the episodes to be more Christmas related. But something pretty big happened yesterday before we recorded the podcast, and that was the Video Game Awards. So that's like a relatively big deal. It happens in December, and it usually highlights, if not the best games of the year, certainly a fair number of the greatest games that have come out over the past year. And I have to say I was pretty pleased with most of the picks and most of the selections. And I actually have to say the game that they picked as fighting game of the year, I was a little disappointed with, honestly, because as good as it was, I don't know if do you know who they picked as fighting game of the year?
Absolutely. I know most of the main winners, and I'll let you finish, but I have a general question for you, but...
Yeah, absolutely. The fighting game of the year was Mortal Kombat 11. And don't get me wrong, we love the Mortal Kombat series here at Pop Culture Party People. We think those games are...
We all bought it, like not even at... Yeah. Like we bought it at a discount, but not... We essentially paid like a premium price for it and never really played it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's the problem with MK11. And this is the thing that kind of is amazing and awful about Japanese fighting games. Because we've been playing a lot of, obviously, like Dragon Ball Z Fighters, but we've also been playing a ton of Blaze Blue Cross Tag Battle. And those games are just so fast.
And even the old stuff. Like we picked up Guilty Gear, what's the full name? Guilty Gear Accent Core XX.
Belts Unlimited.
Yeah. Yes, bad guy.
Yeah. For all of those of you who've never played a Japanese fighting game before, it's very long titles. You can't get a Japanese fighting game without having the most ridiculously long, lengthy title in it. But two, you also usually get super fast-paced combat. And it's kind of ruined all other combat systems for me. And like I feel like MK11 fell into that trap. Like MK11 is by far the best looking of them, especially for like the 3D rendering and stuff like that. And they always have phenomenal like DLC characters, but it's just so slow to play. And it's I wish Grand Blue Fantasy Battle won. I think that one was the cooler of the ones to win.
Yeah, Grand Blue Fantasy Versus or whatever. See, like I never actually played that, and I missed the beta, unfortunately. But I loved the art style of that game. But I will say that of all of Arc System Works, the actual Japanese version of it, they seem to slow that one down by comparison. And I kind of feel that way about Strive. And I know privately, Dillon, like you and I have talked about Strive coming back and how, or coming out and how like, the successor to Guilty Gear, but it totally is not in the realm of like Rev or Rev 2. It's like a new game.
The
like
weird
Strive
thing is like, Guilty Gear, for those of you who don't know, is probably one of the more successful like anime fighters for sure. Been around for a really long time, has a really interesting cast of characters and a pretty solid fan base. And their most recent game coming up is called Guilty Gear Strive. And it looks like, and from the from the demo that came out, it also looks like they're slowing that game down too. And I don't get why they're doing that. Is it like for more tactical combat?
Hang on, time out. Okay, on 3, we're gonna name. I want you to name your favorite fighting game mechanic, and I'm going to name my least favorite fighting game mechanic. Okay?
Sure.
Okay, so 3, 2, 1.
Instant air dash, probably.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
Anything that provides a ton of pressure in like a gaming situation is something that I like, especially in fighting games. I know that fighting games are probably like the redheaded stepchild of most video games, right? Like when I talk to a lot of people, they don't like fighting games.
Yeah.
And that kind of is one of the ways that we bonded. We talked about this in the last episode, where it's one of those things where when you find another person who genuinely likes fighting games and to have like a good time and be like a little competitive with them, but not go crazy over the top, it's like special when you find that, because like I said, fighting games are kind of the redheaded stepchild. Nobody likes playing them for the most part because they're really difficult and they're very challenging. They also offer a certain level of competition between your friends that can be not fun sometimes, in the same way that like an FPS is, like when you get shot in an FPS, sometimes it feels like bullshit, but also sometimes it feels like just like luck of the draw where you were placed on the map. Like when you lose in a fighting game, you lost because you just weren't good enough.
I think anyone who's either a first time listener, assuming you didn't you weren't looking at like woodworking videos and accidentally stumble upon this or something, but like anyone who's
the recommended feed for YouTube was just like woodworking videos, pop culture party people podcast.
That is exactly what my YouTube feed looks like. It's like like that splash with some Colbert, but yeah, it's about it. But the people who like everyone knows this already. But let's get back to the VGAs, because like you were saying, MK11 took Best Fighter.
Mm-hmm.
But before you go further, what I wanted to ask you was kind of taking a step backwards, and I was curious as to what your, I guess, like largest takeaway was as far as what you didn't expect. And it could be the announcement of a winning game, but I'm also looking for, I guess, something maybe a little bit more outside the box.
Well, I think my biggest takeaway was like, I was super jazzed that Among Us took both the best mobile game and best family game or best party game or something like that. Like those dudes deserve all the credit in the world. That's like such a small studio, and they hit it out of the park. That game is so fun and so imaginative. And for a studio, once again, that up to just a couple of months ago had no recognition. I think this is like maybe their first game. For them to be now like winning awards and being like so publicly thrust in the consciousness, and their acceptance speech was like beautiful and really heartfelt. Like stuff like that gives me like hope for all of like me and other creators who are like just slaving away in their bedrooms, just trying to make something come to life, and hopefully it catches on. Like when you see stuff like that, it's really impactful and like, oh, okay, cool. And then the other one was like, I feel like it was a foregone conclusion that Last of Us was just going to like win all of these titles. And that's kind of the shitty thing about any award show sometimes, where it's just like where you feel like you know what the outcome is going to be. Like how amazing would it be? Like I haven't played it yet, but I hear it's unbelievable. Like how amazing would it have been if like Hades won? Like game of the year.
I was going to wait for that, and we will. I would like to answer the question as well before moving on to Hades, because I got thoughts on that. But
yeah, absolutely. But it's one of those things where it's like, yes, Last of Us, obviously very divisive game this year for like the subject matter, and I don't think that's a reason why it should be taken down a peg or whatnot. I have not played The Last of Us 2 yet, so I don't have a firm opinion.
You like the first one though, right?
Oh, I love the original. Yeah. The original is unbelievable.
So
it's a huge achievement in gaming. And Last of Us 2, to my knowledge, is that same thing, but even prettier and stuff like that. But I don't know. Like, I love the idea of the underdog always winning. And when Naughty Dog wins, it's not necessarily surprising, right? Like it's not.
It's like a triple A or I don't know if they're calling them quadruple A's anymore, but it's like. Almost like God of War was, right, when it came out. It's just like you kind of know
win everything.
Yeah, you kind of know what's going to happen here. But remind me and the audience, who is their main competition?
So it was Ghost of Tsushima.
That's right. I wanted Ghosts personally.
Well, I haven't played a lot of these games this year because money's been super tight and I couldn't afford to just like go out and be spending $60 here, there, and everywhere. But I do think like. The Ghost of Tsushima story sounded more interesting to me, and it's like gorgeous to look at. But I also heard that there were a lot of problems with that game. Hades was, of course, in there. Final Fantasy VII was in there. I don't think that should have won. Although
the remake, I feel like no remake deserves to take that. Like to me, that's unless they're all remakes, I guess.
Although calling Final Fantasy VII remake like a remake is really doing it a disservice because it is a brand new game in every way, shape.
Right now, I will cost you several viewers, and I apologize.
Yeah, it's okay. But what did you think about the Game Awards? There was definitely some things that I like loved and were super happy about. Like I am happy that Hades won best RPG or action game. But like, what did you think? How did you feel about the general show? Well,
yeah, my general like surprise takeaway was how many celebrities they had. And it was all kind of the usual suspects, like the arguable like those who are in sort of that nerd dome.
Right.
Like like all the MCU and DC actors. But the fact that they even did it, which they're, VGA, as far as I know, like they have no affiliation with Marvel or DC, and therefore like those stars are not contractually obligated to do appearances like that. Again, as far as I know.
Well, I mean, like I get why Tom Holland is there because it's like he's promoting the Uncharted movie, but it was pretty shocking to see like the dude, like Christopher Nolan gave the last award last night. Yeah. It's like how the fuck did they talk Nolan into this? This is kind of unreal.
And again, it's like some of these people, kind of like what you said earlier for your takeaway, maybe they just really appreciate kind of how small in comparison to the movie industry the video games are. Like, I mean, yeah, there's like AAA studios and stuff, but there's no comparison. Like
maybe, I don't know. Nowadays, I would say, obviously, video games are an art form and are probably maybe a better medium to tell a story than a movie. I could honestly say, because you play it for longer, you interact with it, so you've got a different emotional connection to it. But the bigger thing is that some of these studios are huge now. Like, I mean,
they are. I'm not discounting that, but I'm just saying, like, you can't like I'll say this: Hades. I forget the developer. Supergiant. Yeah, thank you. They're kind of bigger on the indie scene, but they're still like an indie developer.
Yeah, they're still an indie dev. They're not. They're nowhere near like a Blizzard or an Activision
or a Naughty Dog or you know like. It's or Santa Monica Studios, right? Like it's weird to go up against these humongous companies.
Yeah, those are,
and
I think Supergiant's got like 50 employees or 60 employees, and yeah, Naughty Dog, to my knowledge, has like over 300.
Oh my God, those poor developers who are probably treated awful. But I don't see that. And again, I'm a little bit ignorant to it because I'm not close to it or anything. But I don't really see something equivalent in the movie industry, and that's where my comment was coming from.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, like, yeah, I don't know. I would love to write and create a game someday. Like, I think that would be such a cool thing to do. Because it's got all of the same sort of things that you would do for a movie, except it's all done, obviously, inside a computer, except when you're doing like Naughty Dog stuff where you're directing people in mocap suits, and then you capture all of those performances and you do that. But yeah, it's a different skill set. I actually have a friend who works for Rockstar, and he said like it's both amazing and awful, kind of just like any artistic thing, right? When it gets to that level where it's just like the level of crunch and the level of like time that you have to put in to get these results, and everybody expects it on these unrealistic time frames. But I don't know, like, I'm so glad that the Video Game Awards are actively starting to get more attention, and I'm starting to really see, and this has been happening obviously for the past decade, but like video games are starting to like weave their way into all aspects of people's lives.
That's what I'm getting at. Yeah.
And that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Like,
it's kind of like it's smart whoever got the Marvel people to do it, because they're all at almost any demographic, they are all household names.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
And to see them, like, it's almost like it makes the video games like more legitimate by being more accepted for that reason, which I'm not really convinced that a lot of people would agree with us on what you're saying about like the narrative medium that video games presents, which to me it's objective, but I know that people have argued against that.
No, I definitely know that there's an argument against it, but I think that's because people are they're looking at the surface level of games, right? They're looking at like a Madden or like, or even like the original God of Wars. It just looks like it's a lot of violence and like,
or even like or GTA, where it's like there is a story, but you could just kill cops all day or whatever.
You could just kill a hooker and do stuff. Like, but no, I mean, over the years, especially as more and more developers have come onto scenes and more studios have been willing to put out artistic projects. I mean, there have been some truly moving video games that are true, not only works of art, but works of like emotional depth and just pure statements of creativity. And it looks like, hopefully, as we move into the next gen of gaming, right, and as VR becomes more and more powerful and it starts to really develop the software and hardware that it needs to be the next big thing, like, I can't wait to see where it goes, because it's, kind of like boundless creativity, even more so than movies, right? Because you can make shit in a game that would be cost prohibitive for a film, like just completely impossible.
Absolutely. Well, but fucking space.
Yeah, absolutely.
How about that, right? Like Halo could not really exist in all. I mean, there's probably other better examples, but like, it
definitely can. It's just super expensive, and it's just super time consuming. And I really hope that, like, as obviously the graphics get better, because we're hitting a point now where graphics there definitely is the uncanny valley, and I don't know if that's ever going to fully go away, because that's just the nature of human beings. We can really tell when something isn't human. But I don't know. I would like to see more features that are using those super high-end fidelity graphics as like legitimate ways to tell stories, and not even in video games. Like, I don't know if you ever saw the Gantz movie, like Gantz Zero.
Yeah,
how gorgeous is that to look at, and how like, I want to see more of that happening in the industry. I want to see us using them not just for gaming, but for storytelling in general. Like, which general purposes.
Kind of a good segue, I guess, into the Sephiroth reveal, because like that cinematic was fucking Advent Children. Like, like that was essentially like Sakurai or whoever on his team is in charge of that was just like, make that look like a modern day Advent Children, and that's exactly what they did. And then, hey, it's Mario and Zelda in there too. Like,
yeah. Well, no, I mean, Also, I'm glad that Sephiroth is in it because for those of you, if this is something that you guys don't know, Super Smash Bros. Has Cloud in it. And Cloud is from Final Fantasy VII. Shocking. And like when that happened, that was a big deal. And that was really cool that he made it into Smash. Because being accepted into Smash is like this little like club where it's like your game was culturally important enough or interesting enough to be included in this like touchstone of a series. And that's what Smash has been for a really long time. I do kind of find it kind of disappointing, though, that they included another Final Fantasy character when they had the opportunity to include like Dante or Alucard or a bunch of other really famous video game characters like Master Chief, Doom Guy. Yeah, all of these characters that would be like heralded as this amazing thing to be in Smash. It seems as cool as it is to have Sephiroth, and as cool as that like reveal trailer was, and I know Maximilian Dude got super hyped over it and all that other stuff.
Well, yeah, of course he did.
But I do feel, and especially with the recent DLC that's come out for Smash, like sometimes it just feels like they're missing the point, and it's to be as inclusive as possible. But we also don't know like what their restrictions are on licensing and all this other stuff.
I was going to say that because I wish that they would just issue something at some point and just say like, look, guys, we told you back whenever that we already had all the DLC picked. Cause I remember that was like a pretty big announcement that they made. Well, I think it was when Bile came out. I don't know. Anyways, like I would love to know. And they honestly, again, it's Sakurai, but it's Nintendo, and as we all know, they don't like to do things because they hate us. They're consumer based. They just can't stand us for some reason.
Yeah.
Just put out what you tried to get and couldn't get. That's it. Like that would be interesting to know.
Yeah, I don't know. Once again, I think it's all like a legal thing where it's like no company wants to lose face, right? Like if Square Enix, or it's not Square because Square just gave fucking Sephiroth. So it's not like
we thought it was them because I heard it was extremely difficult to get Cloud into this version of Smash.
I mean, maybe that's true, but
apparently Sakurai had to pull strings. I don't know what that means in Japan, but
lots of drinking. Shocking amounts of alcohol.
He got several businessmen hammered.
But like Sora could have been in it and should be in it. I think he would be once again another character that like would fit into Smash perfectly. Would make so many people happy that he was in it. And once again, is it Disney not wanting to be in Smash? I don't understand why anybody wouldn't want to be in Smash. Smash is such a big deal, especially in the video game community and to a certain degree just in the pop culture landscape, that like any team that's approached about having their character incorporated, you think that the company would jump on the opportunity to do that, right? Just for the free publicity that comes along with it.
I actually had a thought on that just now. As we all know, Nintendo doesn't like to support things like they killed the Melee tournament that was going on.
Yeah, they killed the Etika controllers. They hate anything that's not under their direct control.
That they didn't come up with.
Correct.
And that's the caveat, really. And the thing about that is I wouldn't be surprised if that sort of behavior makes other companies distance themselves from the likes of Nintendo and by some extension, maybe Smash Brothers, because maybe they're like, look, like we actually do support that and we want that to happen. And if we give you like the rights to our character, we want something like that to happen. Like that is a possibility.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, Nintendo over the past couple of years, as much as you love their IPs, the company itself is pretty trash and is usually awful to the people who buy their products.
Of course they are. I don't think they've still technically admitted that there is a Joy-Con drift problem. And that is a problem. That's ridiculous.
Kind of ridiculous and awful.
It's absolutely ridiculous. And again, it's whatever. I don't know. And the thing is too, I know there's like Nintendo of America and then there's Nintendo Japan, and like you would think that they report similarly, but like somehow there are discrepancies.
Yeah, apparently they're different. Well, yeah, Wood Hawker talked about that when he like got fired from Nintendo.
I was unaware.
Relatively interesting. But we've talked about video games. Is there any other game that you saw, like trailer wise, that you were super excited about or interested in before we move on to the next segment?
Trailer? No, I mean I don't know how your childhood history dates back to Perfect Dark, but I actually played that a lot at a friend's house, and I thought that was cool. It was more of a teaser trailer, but I thought it was cool that they're doing a Perfect Dark. And it's Microsoft, so it seems like who did Microsoft buy? Was it Bethesda or?
Yeah, I think they did buy Bethesda. I don't know.
Well, anyways, it seems like they're doing what they should have done a long time ago, which is like focus on having exclusives, like Sony did, and it seems like they're kind of doing it in a nostalgic sort of way, which is interesting. But again, no gameplay really, just that teaser. Real quick, just wanted to say kind of for the record, not that it needs to be said for the record, but Hades, haven't played it, heard amazing things, rave reviews. I know Warren has it. He's the one who talked it up a lot at first when I asked about it. But it won too. It won indie and action game. And the fact that it won an action game against other non-indies is pretty spectacular. And
no, that's amazing. Like I'm not discounting any of the awards. Yeah. And also I know that there's like a process to doing them. And no award ceremony is perfect. But yeah, it would be amazing just to see an indie sweep something for that. That would be so fucking cool if that happened. For me, the final thoughts on the video games were I love to see, looks like PlayStation is keeping up with those amazing exclusives. That new game Seasons looks stunning. I cannot fucking wait to play that whenever I eventually buy a PS5. That game looks unfucking believable. And I'm very upset that there was no Elden Ring or Breath of the Wild 2 news. That's some straight bullshit fucking right there. That was...
Dude, aside from Smash, there really wasn't much Nintendo news at all.
Yeah, dude, I don't know what the fuck is up. I'm so pissed about Elden Ring. Like, they even had the joke in there where they're like, most anticipated game... Elden Ring, and we're still not going to talk about it.
It's like moving on. Yeah. So tease.
Well, speaking of teases, we have one of our recurring segments on Pop Culture Party People is, but is it good? And I nominated last episode when Warren was here, a little film starring an ex-governor of California called Jingle All The Way.
Oh, Dillon, before you go on, I think it's really starring an ex-Def Jam comic.
Wait, what? When the fuck did Arnie do Def Jam?
Sinbad
you're talking about...
Perfect setup!
oh, never mind. You're talking about Sinbad.
Actually, I was talking about Jake Lloyd. But
of course.
Yeah. He hails from the Bronx.
I was like, fuck, when did Arnold do Def Jam? I don't remember him doing that.
I'd pay to see that shit. That'd be fucking amazing.
Well, before I give my thoughts on Jingle All The Way, how did you feel about it? What are your memories of this as a child? What does this film evoke in you before rewatching it?
Yeah, I saw that in theaters as a kid, and I think I watched it like every year it was out since. Like I remember renting it or like, having my parents rent it.
Going to the Blockbuster.
Dude, you wish. It was Video Biz, son. But also Blockbuster. But yeah. It was it was funny cuz like as a kid, I think I just liked it. For obviously the like absurdity of it, like because at the time it was sort of a different Christmas film. Oh yeah, it's definitely not your run of the mill Christmas fare. Like there's some of that in it, but yeah, it is. It's an interesting take on Christmas for sure. And also Phil Hartman is why that movie is still like the whole but is it good? And it's like, it is because Phil Hartman's in it.
I kind of agree and I kind of disagree. On the other hand, Phil Hartman was a national treasure. And if you're a younger listener and you don't know who Phil Hartman is, he's was on Saturday Night Live, super integral to The Simpsons as well. Mm-hmm. He plays the widower father in Jingle All The Way, who's straight up just trying to fuck Arnie's wife. Like
every woman in the neighborhood, but she's like the last one.
Yeah, she's the last holdout. I mean, he's laid pipe in every house on that fucking block.
Yeah, they call him the plumber of whatever street they live on.
Yeah, Mario of.
No, he is a freaking filthy Waluigi, is what he is.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Just land that pipe wherever he can. And that's one of the things about the movie that's kind of interesting, right? Like, it's a little dirty and it's a little violent and it's very 90s. Like late 90s and like to a fault. Yeah. Where everything's extreme.
Well, it's funny because like I realized this like at a young age because I think I watched them at similar times and there's like a lot of weird parallels to Hook. The Robin Williams, it's like that whole stereotype of like the dad who works too much.
Well, that was a huge trope in the 90s in general, and is still used in movies today, right? Like Hollywood loves a trope. It's hard for them to have an original idea.
It's extremely difficult for them, seemingly. It's weird. They keep like, and that's why the 90s will never die, because these tropes keep them alive in a large way. Like that in overalls, I guess. I don't know.
So you enjoyed it, right? You thought it was good. What were some of your favorite parts?
Yeah, like but again, for those that don't know me, like one of the many things Dillon and I bond over is bad movies, and we got a doozy coming up. But
we have a phenomenal film coming up. So if you listened to last episode, we talked about Thanksgiving, and Warren is not a huge fan of watching bad movies for bad movies' sake, and you and I are the exact opposite. The worse, the better. Give me.
We saw Birdemic, people.
Oh, absolutely,
we sat through that.
Loved it.
We sat through that with my friend who was visiting from Berlin. Shout out to Nick Heinz, who spent one of his few nights with me watching
in America,
Birdemic. In America, watching Birdemic, and also loving it. And that's when we were just like, this is the right crew for this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just god awful film. But,
and as we talked about with that last episode, it's like Warren doesn't like them because he just thinks they're kind of stupid and it's kind of like a waste of his time. But I love seeing the effort that goes into bad movies.
Yep.
Oh, it's so good. But we're still talking about Jingle All The Way. And I'm going to say it doesn't really hold up for me. I'm going to be 100% honest. I think that there are things to like about Jingle All The Way, but as I was watching it, I was like, I don't know if I need to put this into my like Christmas rotation again. Like I feel like, there's like a certain amount of like 90s edge that's on it that kind of is like gross and weird. And it's like, it also has like some of the worst aspects of the holiday, right? Like the consumerism and like this just rampant need, which works, but I don't know.
This is exactly why I like it. like it is so spot on with how society is. Like, let's be honest. Like, some guy neglected his family and is trying to do like one like Hail Mary last ditch effort to like gain favor with his like
show his son that he loves him when he's never there.
At this point his son's estranged, let's face it. Like he's just not in the picture. How does I bet he's just like wait, my dad has an accent? Like I was waiting for that the whole movie.
Yeah, you were just waiting for that line where he's like, "Dad, where did you come from? Because I don't understand you."
Right. And he'll never know is the answer.
Now, I can't take away the fact that for all of Arnold's faults, I love Arnold Schwarzenegger. I love movies that Arnold Schwarzenegger is in. I always find them entertaining, but compared to like the rest of the Arnold movies and even the family friendly Arnold movies like Kindergarten Cop and Last Action Hero, which is an absolute fucking banger. I don't know. I was watching this the entire time and I was kind of bored by it. Like I was there's a part of me that was like nostalgic for it because I recommended it, of course. But as I was just watching it, I was just like, this isn't hitting me the same way I thought it would. But I will admit, yeah, it's a pretty spot on commentary of like the awfulness of the season. Sinbad is okay in it, like just fucking chewing scenery straight up.
Oh, well, I think that's another reason I like it. It's just like Christmas ham is served early when you watch that movie because he is hamming it up, man. Like every scene, in a way, it's self-aware because of that. Like, and dude, just like everything about it is unbelievable.
Every single scene in the movie, every scene, like, this would never happen.
And the funny part is, for most of the scenes that she's in, the actress who plays the wife, whatever her name is, she is almost
sure
like
that's Tom Hanks's wife.
I think you're right. I think you're right about that. But whoever she is, she's almost like she's with the audience, you know what I mean? Because like
just
the way that she looks,
rolls.
the way that she's kind of like cringed out by like the neighbor, and you know, but at the same time she lets things happen, and it's just like no, like, and I would say that the only thing I truly hate about the movie is how like it seems like there was a feebled attempt to make a sequel by the whole like, well, where's my gift, Howard? And it zooms in on his face like, uh-oh, not again. And
it's Jingle All The Way 2, search for the vibrator.
Oh, boy.
I would watch that. I'm sure there's a porn version of that already exists.
Is it?
I'm pretty sure that there is. I mean, if a movie's been mildly successful, there is porn out there for it. Rule 34, baby. If it exists, there's porn for it.
You know, for the audience, you know,
you've got the internet.
yeah. Tell us.
Do your own research.
I'm not ruining my search history for this.
The FBI is just watching you like, really? This? That's what you're going for. So for me, I'm going to say, Jingle All The Way does not hold up for me. I don't think I'm going to watch it again anytime soon. It's weird. I do get nostalgic for it, but then every time that I've watched it as like an older person, like I watched it, I think about 4 or 5 years ago, I was just like, I shouldn't do this again. It's just a bad idea.
I think I'll put it in the category of great to have on in the background while you're doing like if you're doing Christmas related things, it's amazing to have on in the background.
That's probably the best way to do it. Yeah, like if you're decorating
the tree,
like, you have to. You go get some lunch. You're like, oh, Jingle All The Way is still on. Let me do some more stuff. I got some work I have to do in my office. Yeah, you can leave it on. It's fine. I'm not missing anything.
You're not Jingle All The Way. You're not missing anything.
Yeah.
Starring Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sinbad.
That was the original tagline when they released it.
Yeah. Also, my other takeaway was, you probably know this, Dillon, was that came out before Star Wars Episode 1, correct?
To my knowledge, I know it was filmed before Star Wars because I'm fairly positive that's the first film that child actor worked on.
Jake
who played
Lloyd.
Anakin.
Yeah. Because he's awful in Jingle All The Way. Like, his acting is so bad.
Well, I mean, he's awful in the prequels as well.
He is. And I guess that's what they were going for, because it's almost like they knew exactly how they wanted Hayden Christensen to portray like a young Anakin or you know, like a pre-adolescent Anakin or whatever, and / a young Darth Vader. And they're just like, we have the perfect bad actor child for you.
Well, this is the awful thing, because one, child acting is not an exact science, of course. For every Macaulay Culkin and Elijah Wood, you have your Jake Lloyds and pretty much every other child actor that's ever existed. But I feel, one, because I know how awfully Jake Lloyd's life got turned into after the prequel films.
Yeah, he got
There's
a lot
like a part of me that's
right?
like, how could we be so judgmental on children? These are literal children. Judging them on their acting ability is like judging on them as their ability to do calculus. It's not like they've really learned it yet.
But that's the problem, is unlike calculus, I guess, where you have to be a genius to be like 4 years old and master it. It's like there are, even on TV, like there's really good child actors. They're probably going to be the weirdest adults.
Yeah, if history has proven anything, that they're going to have some issues as they age.
Right. But,
Well, speaking of awful child actors, this brings us to my recommendation last week, which was originally Krampus. But when Warren said that he had to do some work and kind of take a little bit of time off of the podcast, I was like, well, I know that Dale has already seen Krampus, and we love Krampus. It's one of my favorite holiday movies of all time. But why not visit a film that we have both never seen before? And I have had this film in my back pocket for a long time, and I was hoping to watch it with Dale in person one of these days. But I decided it would be the perfect time to pull it out, especially seeing as it's the holiday season. And I recommended for us Jack Frost, 1997, not the 1998 version with Michael Keaton.
Yep.
That is going to be talked about on a different podcast, maybe later on down the line. But no. This is the horror film Jack Frost.
Horror comedy.
Well, horror comedy, yeah. I mean, of course. For those of you who don't know, Jack, a serial killer who has been running amok, gets doused in a new chemical compound that essentially like crystallizes his blood cells, allowing him to turn into the most ridiculous looking snowman you have ever seen put to cinema history. And I have to say, I loved every goddamn second of this movie, and I cannot wait to hear what you have to say about it, Dale. I'll give a deeper review once you give me your thoughts on the matter.
So I want to walk you through my viewing experience because that plays a role in this. It was the middle of the day, and you and I had just talked about what we're going to watch for this podcast, and I did not tell my wife at all, and just I casually brought it up like it was my idea. Like I was like, hey, there's this movie called Jack Frost. You want to watch it? And she's just like, well, it's Saturday. And it's like 3 p.m. So why not?
Sure.
I think it was like 1 p.m. It doesn't matter. We watched it and we did not fall asleep through it. In fact, I did two things during that film. The first thing was, about 15 minutes in, I stopped it and I ran and got my composition notebook and I started writing down. I don't know if your audience can hear the pages flipping. I have it up in front of me because I didn't want to miss a topic to discuss.
You were taking down notes like a madman, a man possessed.
And my wife was like, "What are you doing?" Which is awesome. And then she was just like, Of course, that's what you're doing. And then the second thing was, halfway through the film, I had to make myself a pot of coffee because they drink so much fucking coffee in this movie. like anytime they walk into a room, someone pours someone a cup of coffee. It's really funny.
Yeah, it's kind of shocking the amount of coffee or just drinking that is done in it. There is not a scene in this film, to my knowledge, where somebody doesn't ingest something.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes it's not good that they're ingesting something, but
right. At the end of the day, something's going in somebody's mouth.
Okay, so my thought, just because I think it's funnier for the audience, is I wanted to rattle off my notes, and then we can just kind of revisit.
Please
them.
do. I like a thoroughly researched piece of media.
Sure. So keep in mind these are just talking points. So you'll know it as a viewer. As a viewer who's seen it, I was about to say,
if you've never seen Jack Frost, spoilers. Some of this stuff happens in the movie.
Some would say all of it.
Yeah, some would say all of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and this is in chronological order to the film. The sheriff's windshield in the beginning, the collision editing, the acid / transformation followed by the cellular zoom in isofication of the blood cells.
Perfectly done 90s CG.
Oh, I'd say perfectly done 70s CG. The flashback. And particularly the scene where he tells the human Jack Frost to surrender, and as he puts his arms up, there's a sound bite of a gunshot. Like, was it supposed to be a jump scare? The first Jack Frost old man death, and how he's rocking in the chair, and then at some point towards the end of the scene, the sheriff turns and goes, "Would you stop touching the rocking chair with your foot?" Like, because the whole time you're like, "Why is this corpse rocking? Like, what's going on?" Billy the bully, the whole decapitation with the sleigh.
We're gonna spend some time on that scene because we are. It is a masterpiece.
We are. Okay. Like, in general, why does the snowman protect the kid he's after, sort of? Billy's mom, why did she have ice in her hand all of a sudden? And again, we'll explain this, audience. Then the FBI agent, and he goes, "What are you, FBI?" And he just goes, "Sure." The undressing sound effects.
Ooh, yeah. Or the whooshes. There's a lot of transitions that have the whoosh sound effect.
Yes.
Very strange.
I would say, like, whoever they hired as the Foley artist had a lot of fun in this film.
Had a lot of free reign on the edit.
Oh, he had all kinds of artistic license. Okay. And then the death scene with the younger kid who is trying to nail Shannon Elizabeth. By the way, Shannon Elizabeth's film debut. Yeah,
very first film with Shannon Elizabeth, and I forgot how fucking hot Shannon Elizabeth was. God damn, she is gorgeous.
I'll get to that in a sec. Okay, why would an icicle through his head pulse like the heart? Like when a heart is...
You know that the brain is exactly like the heart, Dale. It's got a beat.
They're both organs, right? And then my last and most curious comment / question of the whole film. So did the snowman rape Shannon Elizabeth? And that's my list, and I'm happy to revisit any of those points I mentioned.
Oh my God. Okay. So yeah, Jack Frost is exactly what you want it to be. So the cover is ridiculous. It's this like demonic looking snowman, but when they get to it in the movie, it just looks like a normal snowman, but it just looks like a man in a foam snowman suit.
Time out, because I feel like you're getting a little ahead only because there are snowmen in everything in this movie, like little ornaments or stickers or decorations. And there's even a snowman building competition because, by the way, the town name is called Snowminton. That's not...
That is true.
It's
so a little background on this movie. Jack Frost, obviously serial killer. He's getting taken to the death penalty. He gets hit with this, unknown compound that changes his cells. He turns into a snowman. He goes back to seek vengeance on the cop in the town that put him away. And
I was just going to say that, like, in the like one of the earlier scenes, they're building snowmen like out front of this kind of general store, but there's no snow on the ground anywhere.
So fun fact about this, I looked this up, they did film it in the middle of winter, but it was the driest season in California history or something like that, and snow could not accumulate. So even when the production tried to go to a snowy area of California, weather was just like, fuck you.
Make it work. They Tim Gunned it. They're just like, make it work.
So the movie looks like it was shot in the middle of summer, because that's the reason why I looked it up. I was like, there is no snow anywhere in this film. And if there is snow, it's not snow. It's clearly like some form of like rice compound.
Yeah.
Or
just foam. Like
or shaved foam. Yeah.
Like the snowman is literally, it's like you went to Michael's or some other craft store and you just got like some kind of foam or paper mache and some like white spray stuff and made it look kinda like snow-esque.
Yeah, like snow adjacent. Like if you had to be like, is that snow? You'd be like, I mean, I guess you could use it for snow. Yeah.
Like no one would ever mistakenly eat it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a very good barometer for how it looks. So obviously madness ensues. We don't want to give away everything, but there are two scenes in this movie that were so cripplingly funny to me that the first scene is spoilers, of course. If you've missed out on the 30 plus years of Jack Frost, sorry that we're gonna ruin this for you. The scene where Jack Frost decapitates a child with a sled is so hysterical. Not particularly because the editing and the gore effects are so bad. It is the scene with the father right after who couldn't, like, he's upset that his son just got decapitated, and the mom doesn't give a fuck.
The mom is the best in the whole movie. Like, yeah. she is like, oh my God, the whole like men writing women thing. It's so apparent in this film.
The scene plays out where the dad is just like, oh, God damn it, my son just got decapitated. And the mom just like, hey, it'll be okay. This should be like the worst moment of their lives.
They shouldn't be able to talk.
Yeah, they should be inconsolable. One, it's a freak accident. Two, he got decapitated. It's one of the worst, most horrific ways to die.
So fun fact, for Hereditary, Toni Collette researched this movie in particular. And just did the opposite.
Really saw the method and was like, let me do the opposite of how they feel. So that scene is pure, unadulterated gold. And then, of course, we have the scene between Shannon and Elizabeth.
Hang on. Because the death itself has like a Jack Handy from like early SNL.
Oh yeah! Oh no, Mr.
Bill. Yeah, like the head gets run over by the bullies. The bully. We need to dissect what happens.
Okay, let me start.
You need to know. The audience needs to know.
The scene starts with the bully antagonizing the sheriff's son, who Jack Frost seemingly is trying to kill, but apparently starts focusing on the bully's family after this because he murders that kid's entire family. But that comes later.
Before going after his main target, which is the sheriff.
Before going after the sheriff, he likes to mow down a couple of others before, working up to the main course. Appetizer, some would say. So the bully is interacting with the sheriff's son, and he has a couple of friends around him, and they're all holding very old style sleds. I don't know if you've ever lived in a winter climate before. Old style sleds can be dangerous. They can be sharp depending on how old they are, but there is no way, shape, or form that they could ever cut anything more than like a shallow little rivet on you.
Like maybe a finger if you were going fast and a finger was on the ground.
Yeah, and you had your hand out.
Yeah,
Maybe. But Jack Frost just shows up out of goddamn nowhere because the son is building a snowman that just turns into this foam snowman that just happened to be, I guess Jack Frost was just waiting in the ground.
Oh no, dude, you missed that. Like what happened was, this is what's so funny about that scene in particular. The mom comes home before all the bullies show up and she's like, there is like a snowman, but without any of the coal eyes and the carrot nose. And she's like, "Oh, you built the snowman." And as the audience member, I was just like, "How the fuck did this kid build such an amazing snowman?" Because for a kid, it's amazing. It's like my height, like 6'2", whatever. And it's just it has all the right like dimensions.
That's right. It is just waiting there for him to adorn it.
Right. And then he's like, "Oh, Mom, I never built it." And she's like, "Oh, well, that's cool. Here's some stuff to go complete your snowman." Like, and that's what leads him outside. And the kid doesn't question anything.
Well, why would he? This movie's so well written. Like, I mean,
well, and also, I guess kids are dumb. That's part of the message to some degree.
And also, like, wouldn't you be like, then who the fuck built a snowman? It doesn't matter. Go decorate it. I just want you out of the house.
Right. And what's funny is, like, you do get some glimpses of the snowman, like, kind of almost, like, biting him or something.
Yeah.
Like the icicle teeth grow at some point, and then
that's at the very end of the movie. He grows icicle teeth and gets himself inside the body of the researcher. that's in the film.
Oh, dude, there's a lot there.
God, there's so much in this film. Like, we can't cover it all.
You can't. There's 3 podcasts worth of content in this one film, and I'm talking like hour and a half long episodes.
Yeah, but I could go on Jack Frost all day. So that scene in particular is amazing. Yeah, he decapitates the kid, but it's really the scene afterwards that sells it for me. It's just how awful the parents are to the death of their son.
Like Dillon was saying before I kind of interrupted him, it's like this: the snowman pushes the bully down.
He pushes the bully down, and then he like kicks
and his friend,
the sled towards
his friend was on it. His friend was rewatch it. His friend, the bully's friend, was already riding. Like, he like jumped on the sled, and like kind of at the same time, the snowman hit the bully down to make it look like an accident, I guess. And then just like the head is just in the, like, it's like a low shot.
So yeah, the shot goes from bully riding down to kid falling over. Then it's just a shot. It's a little arc shot of the head spinning through the air. No blood. It's just, and also doesn't look like the kid at all. It's also because they're shooting it up at the sky. It's mostly all in shadow anyway. So you can't, you know what it is, but either way. And then
you know what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, you know what it's supposed to be. And then it just lands on the ground. Also hysterical is right after that, right before they talk to the parents, they have the smallest little blood puddle that ever existed on film. It's like somebody literally went out with a couple of teardrops of like food coloring and were just like, dip, dip, dip. That's it. That's fine.
Yep. That's it. That's all it needs to be.
Yep. You know? That's all it needs to be. You want more? Pay me more.
I think, I mean, we could go on, and I definitely want to address the Shannon Elizabeth scene because it's definitely worth talking about. But after that, I think that's enough of a taste, and everyone
we have
needs
to.
to watch.
We have to. I honestly think that we maybe should save the Shannon Elizabeth scene because it's a treat. Let's just say it that way. It's
perfect. I'm very content with that.
If you like scenes that are hard to watch yet hysterical, it's perfect.
And the thing is, too, just a little like commentary. My takeaway was, I honestly feel like Shannon Elizabeth got where she is today because she was willing to show more skin than like the next actress. And
I completely agree with that. Like, yeah, she's not particularly talented. I do think that she is very pretty though. Like, I thought that in American Pie too. It's just, she's got a very nice face. It's just very pretty. And that's how I feel.
And then you have the producers who like how other things look about her, and she's willing to display them.
Not to be too vulgar, but this is pre-boob job.
It very much is, and there's no hiding that fact, I guess, right? Like,
yeah, there's no hiding it. But on the other hand, like, yes, you will see Shannon Elizabeth naked in this. Yes, she will be assaulted by a snowman. Yes, it is very funny to watch.
It's mostly on the side though, isn't it? It's mostly like side shots.
Oh yeah, like no, it's not like Irreversible. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie.
Oh, good. Yeah, good. Yee. I don't know if that was a good little entendre you have there, but yeah.
Guys, if you've never seen Irreversible, it contains maybe the most explicitly awful rape scene that has ever existed on cinema. It is one of the hardest scenes to watch.
Anything Gaspar Noé does is pretty hard to watch.
Oh yeah, like, he's a great director, but yeah, most of his stuff is super visceral, super hard to watch.
It's too visceral. I'm
not going to say it's as bad as Martyrs, but it's real close.
Yeah, but it's bad. Like, bad to the point where like you don't need to watch that movie more than once. Yeah, and even once is kind of.
No, absolutely. Once is like, if you're a film person, I would recommend watching it because it is a very good film, but it's a tough watch. And it does contain, like I said, one of the most graphic rape scenes that's ever been put to cinema and
to Monica Bellucci in particular.
Yeah, it's so hard to watch, but also in a way it's good because it captures how like deeply unsettling that act is, right? How truly evil it is to do that to someone. And the film captures that really well.
I would say, just little kind of side note before we go too far down the rabbit hole with it, but if you like the sound of that, but you don't necessarily want to see that form of it, watch Perfect Blue.
Yeah, Perfect Blue does a very good job of that
It
as well.
does a
And
good
it's
job.
just an amazing story in general.
It's a great story.
Really, really the inspiration for Darren Aronofsky's Black Swan. So
Yeah, he bought the rights for it so that he wouldn't get sued for essentially ripping off the whole thing.
yes, he did. And it's done by Satoshi Kon, arguably the greatest person to ever produce anime ever in history.
Yep.
Speaking of anime, and well, specifically its black and white cousin, manga.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's true.
Warren gave us a recommendation for last episode for a brand new manga that just came out on Shonen Jump called Sakamoto Days. It is about a retired assassin, but not just any old assassin. He is like top tier John Wick, next level, greatest of all time at killing people. He gives up his life because he falls in love and opens up a convenience store with his wife. And the manga takes place directly after him leaving the assassination world for a couple of years, and a partner that he formerly used to work with, who also happens to be psychic and is able to read people's minds, tracks him down and tries to recruit him again to start getting back into the assassination game. And Dale, I'd love to hear your thoughts on Sakamoto Days before I give my feelings.
Yeah, sorry, just changing my contact card for Warren to Shonen Warren. One sec. There we go. That's
SHOE.
Okay, Shonen Warren done. Okay, I like it. It's fun. It's really interesting because one, the art's incredible, but of course it is. Shonen art in general doesn't disappoint, especially with the manga.
Interesting. I was actually going to say that the art is one of the things that I think is the weakest on this story, actually. You can tell that it's being done by a relatively inexperienced artist.
I like it though. Like, I don't disagree with that, but I don't know. I kind of like that about it. But I like the action panels, especially. I think it's either at the end of chapter 2 or beginning of chapter 3. I think it's chapter 2. There's like that warehouse scene where he kind of like unloads on some people.
That's the end of chapter 1. And yeah, he does do action panels really well. But the rest of the panels are like,
yeah.
I put the time in where it counts, right? You want the action panels to look good.
Right. But I kind of thought that's like what they do in general. Like Dragon Ball, especially Dragon Ball Super, is very much like that. Like,
well, for the animation, they just gave up on many of those cells.
No, I'm talking about the manga too. Like, but it's egregious in the cartoon show.
In the early episodes of Dragon Ball Super, it's like it's being animated by like,
there's no character model for like Vegeta.
Or there's still that amazing image of Goku with like flat pan face. Oh god, so good.
Yeah, there's so much of that. Like, eyes are not lining up. But back to Sakamoto Days. It's really cool. It's what I like about it is my initial reaction was like, it reminded me a little bit of A History of Violence at first.
Yeah, there's a touch of that for sure.
There's a touch of that, right? But I do enjoy it. I like the concept of like this hitman who just like gives it all up and gets just like seemingly gets out of shape, which is so appropriate.
I love that he gets fat, but he's still perfect.
He's like, no one can touch him. Like, it doesn't matter.
I think there's something really cool about subverting like any genre, right? Like the idea of like slice of life John Wick is like a hysterical idea, right? Like
it's very much like, what if what would John Wick be like if people came after him, but he still had his family, and part of him keeping his family meant he couldn't unleash the way that he normally would.
But not only that, his family knows what he does.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
But hates it and is like actively like, and
that's why there's the rules.
Yeah. One of the big things in the manga is there's rules. And one of the rules is like, he can't kill anyone. And it's like, obviously that's very hard because when people want to kill you, killing them is usually the easiest thing to do. But obviously that just makes him stronger by putting those limitations on him. And it's like also him teaching his former like assistant how to follow the rules as well. It's like, I don't know how long the series can go on. Obviously that depends on the length of like the writing, but I have definitely enjoyed the first 3 chapters. I'm really excited to see where it's going to go. And yeah, it's nice to have, once again, and like 2020 has been really difficult and rough for a lot of people. It's nice to laugh. And like, there's plenty of really good humor in the first couple of chapters of Sakamoto Days. And like Shonen Jump can do that okay sometimes, bad other times, but this is definitely one of the newer series that I'm like actively interested to see where it goes. And I can't wait until it gets like an actual anime adaptation.
Yeah, there's a lot of heart in it. And like, that's, as you read after chapter 1, which frankly, if you read chapter 1 and it's not for you, fine. But I don't see how someone who likes like what manga, like at the core of what manga is, would be able to put it down, because it's very much like I was like looking for chapter 4, you know what I mean? And I was like,
Yeah.
oh right, December 6th was chapter 3. We have to wait, unfortunately. But I will say that there's a lot of heart, and I think that similar to what you're saying with COVID being tough, I think it's very appropriate, and it's like a really positive read, because some people, maybe they, kind of like his pursuer and former, colleague Hitman, maybe they just never really experienced like any kind of
love to that capacity, right?
Yeah, no real compassion or anything. And then when you get a taste of it, you're just like, oh wow, this is actually really nice. And maybe this life that I chose isn't really worth it. It's pretty interesting thing. As a hitman, I can identify.
Yeah, somebody who murders people for a living. I really felt this,
Dillon.
and the core of my being.
Yeah.
I have to say, like, I love the wholesomeness of it, as well as it being just like all good shonen is, right? It's like, it's funny, it's heartfelt, but there's also really good action. The art, for the most part, is not my favorite. I do think the action panels are quite nice, but yeah, you can definitely tell that this is one of his first, or maybe his first one that he's ever really done to this degree. Also, once again, you get spoiled after reading all of these amazing manga over the years, and you start seeing, like, it's not fair to judge people on people who've been doing manga for years and years and years and years and years, and everybody's style is different. But I'm excited to read chapter 4. It's a very strong recommendation for me. If you are into that sort of thing, please, we highly recommend Sakamoto Days.
Yeah. You know what else I would say? I strongly recommend it as well. And I would say if you've never read a manga, it is actually a very good first read, like a first manga read.
It's a good jumping off point, actually. Yeah, it's super easy to pick up. It's obviously it's only been out for a couple of months, or not even a month. I would recommend that as well. Yeah, if you're like on the fence about what you should pick up, Sakamoto Days is a good first read. I would totally recommend that. Not too daunting.
Not too weird.
Yeah, not too weird. It's got lots of heart and got a lot of humor and got some really good action. So before we end the show, Dale, we're going to have you again on next week. And then I think we might do Matt the week after that, or maybe we'll do an episode where it's me, you, and Matt. I think that could be...
Ooh, I would love that.
I think that'd be really fun.
That'd be great.
What is your recommendation for next week? I know what I want to recommend for the but is it good for next week? But I would love you to recommend something to me.
I'll tell you what. I wanted to gather my thoughts, because I had 2 choices, and you speak and give your recommendation, and then I'll narrow it down while you do that.
Yeah, absolutely. So for next week on the but is it good, we are going to be revisiting what many consider the timeless Christmas classic, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. And I'm going to admit, I haven't seen this movie in probably 10 years, 15 years, something like that. It's been a very long time since I've seen this movie. And even in that time period, I don't remember particularly loving this film. I was never a massive Chevy Chase fan. So I'm interested to revisit this and see but is it good? Like, does it still hold up? Is it still a Christmas classic? I'm very excited to rewatch it and kind of view it with adult eyes. And then my recommendation for you, Dale, for next week, and I haven't played it yet either, but I've seen so many playthroughs of it. This is kind of another one where we kind of get to experience it together, is We talked about in the episode with Corey X Kenshin, one of my favorite videos that he did was this video about him playing this horror game that takes place at Christmas where LeBron James is chasing you down and trying to give you a Sprite cranberry.
Oh my God. Where has this been all my life?
So
do I have to go to Cleveland or LA to get it? Like,
no, it's free to download. I can't remember the LeBron James game. The game is called The Thirstiest Time of the Year is what the game is called. And yeah, it's like free to play, and I can't wait for us to experience this. So yeah, that is my recommendation for us for next week. Apparently, like, the game is only like 20 minutes or so it shouldn't be too hard to fit it into our schedules. And that is my recommendation for you.
Awesome. I'm going to probably play that tomorrow. Okay. So some of you out there probably are not thinking about the iconic film Night of the Living Dead.
Nope.
Stick with me here. Okay, there's some buildup. The co-writer created a movie. It's kind of Jack Frost is on the back of it because this film came out in '96. It's called Santa Claus.
Ooh.
CLAWS.
Of course.
Of course.
Yeah.
That's all you get.
That's all I get? Well, I mean, I have to imagine that this is, once again, horror related with the claws theme. I'm envisioning some form of murderous Santa, but you know what? I have no idea. It could be a werewolf Santa. It could be a whole myriad of things. We're going to have to experience that for next episode.
So there's, I'll say this, it involves some trauma. It involves some sex. And just as a reminder, the co-writer of Night of the Living Dead did create this film, I think, like 30 years after Night of the Living Dead. So if you ever wondered what, arguably an aging man who dips to like a B horror would create, or at least write, I should say, this is probably as close as you're gonna get.
It sounds like it's right up both of our alleys. I cannot wait to see this. All right, guys. Well, that is it for another episode of Pop Culture Party People. Thank you so much for listening. Oh, man, another episode in the bag. Dale, is there anything that you'd like to say before we sign off? Anything you'd like to plug, promote, do?
Just promote this podcast and the YouTube videos that go along with it. Bring a friend. Share it with your family. Tis the season, right?
Yeah, absolutely. If you could rate and review us on iTunes or any of the other apps, it is super helpful for us getting like higher in the algorithm and stuff like that.
Smash that share button. What?
Yeah, smash it all the way to hell. You can find me on YouTube under Unlimited Free Time. That is my YouTube channel. New videos should be coming soon. I'm trying to work on some stuff, but having some technical issues as of late, but they should hopefully be coming very soon. You can also find me at All the Birds on Twitter and Instagram. And finally, you can find this podcast at the PCPP podcast on Instagram and Twitter as well. And you can find us at Pop Culture Party People on YouTube. So that is it for this episode. Dale, thank you so much for co-hosting with me. And this has been an absolute pleasure. And as always, we are the Pop Culture Party People. We put the cults in pop culture. Have a great night, guys. Bye.
I was going to plug my Twitter.
Oh, plug it now.
Okay. I'm at XODZ, and you could see me opening up the latest Lego Star Wars Advent calendar each day.
Oh, I have been enjoying that, actually. Okay. Yes, it's very cute. It's very enjoyable. Yes, please follow Dale there. And that is it for this episode, guys. Thank you so much. Happy holidays.
Thanks, everybody.
Love you.
Happy holidays.
Bye.
Enjoy.